Let's say your child breaks something. They come to you and tell the truth, and you lose it. You raise your voice changes, your face changes, your body tenses up, the whole energy in the room just shifts. What lesson do you think you're teaching with your reaction? Did you think the lesson was breaking things is bad or be more careful? Now, I'm pretty sure those lessons were the farthest thing away from what your child actually learned. They learned that telling you the truth made everything worse, and next time, they're not going to tell you. You just taught the opposite of what you meant to teach. Now, that happens more than parents realize, and it's not because they don't care, it's because the parent is focused on the message of the lesson, and the kid is focused on the experience. Your kid thought confessing, telling the truth, having the courage to tell the truth was a good thing, but your reaction gave them a completely different experience. The lesson you thought you taught and the experience you gave your kid are not the same thing. Today, I'm going to show you how your delivery can aim discipline at the wrong target, what your child is actually paying attention to when you correct them, and the one question that prevents you from accidentally building the opposite of what you intended. Now, for those of you who don't know, my name is Scott. I am a martial arts instructor and have been for 35 years. I have worked with thousands of kids from age 3 to 18. Now, I retired a year or so ago and thought I'd make a channel for parents to ultimately share what I know about character training for kids. I did it every day, and parents paid me to do it. And I also raised 3 kids of my own. So let's get into it. Now, most parents think that their child is getting the lesson because you said some words. Just because you said the words doesn't mean they understood your intention. Your kid is experiencing a lesson. It's bigger than what most parents think. Think about it. When you correct your child, you're focused on the point of the correction, the content, the words, the lesson you're trying to deliver. But your kid isn't just listening to your words. They're reading everything else you do, all of it at the same time. They experience your body language. Did you move toward them aggressively or did you stay calm? They study your facial expressions. Is that disappointment or is that disgust? Your tone, did it match what your face and body is saying, or is there something that feels off about this? Your energy, is this comfortable or is this scary? Your child is taking all of that in at the same time. The words are just one input and they might be the least important. Because after your child processes all of it, the body, the face, the tone, the energy, the words, they make one decision. Did I like it or did I hate it? That single evaluation is what determines what your child actually learns. That's discipline, not the lesson you plan, the lesson the experience actually taught. Because discipline just means to learn or be taught. And your child is learning from the experience, not from your intention. Your intention, the lesson and the point you were trying to make are irrelevant. Your kid learned from how the whole thing felt, how it looked, and what they were thinking in that moment. The experience. And if the experience felt like an attack, it doesn't matter what the words said. Your child's takeaway is that was scary. And whatever they were doing that they thought was the right thing, before the experience, like telling the truth, trying to help, asking a question, that's what gets labeled as scary. Not the wrongdoing, the thing that triggered your reaction. It's like an equation. Telling the truth equals what? Trying to help equals what? Now, most parents think their consequence teaches the lesson that they intended, but it doesn't always. Here's a way to look at it. Your child breaks something, a glass, a plate, something in a house, and they come to you and they tell you about it. Now, that took courage. They knew there might be a consequence, but they told you anyway. And you explode. You raise your voice, your face shows frustration, your body tenses up, and you make some sharp, jerky motions toward them. The energy changes in the room. Now, you thought you were teaching actions have consequences or be responsible with our things, responsibility. But think about it from your child's perspective. What just happened to them? They had courage and told the truth, and the world blew up. So truth and courage equals world blows up. The lesson they may have actually learned is having courage and telling the truth is dangerous. So the next time they hide it. What would you do? I'd hide it. Screw the truth and courage. Next time we're going to lie. Because honesty led to an explosion and a line would have avoided it. You tried to teach responsibility. You accidentally promoted secrecy and discouraged courage. Good job. But that's a wrong distinction. Now, look at another one. Your child tries to help. Maybe they're carrying something to the table and they spill it. They were genuinely trying to help and do something good. And you snap. Pay attention. I should have just done it myself. Ouch. Right? Think about what your child just experienced. They tried, they failed, and the person they were trying to please made them feel like they're stupid and can't be trusted. The lesson you intended was be more careful. The lesson your child may have actually learned is trying is dangerous and I can't be trusted or help, or it's safer to not help than to help and get criticized. You tried to teach be more carefully, but you accidentally taught avoidance. Help equals I'm stupid and can't be trusted. Again, wrong distinction. Okay, one more. Your child asks you a question, one of those tough ones. Maybe it challenges something you believe. Maybe it's uncomfortable. Maybe you don't have an answer. And instead of engaging with it, you shut it down. We don't ask questions like that, or that's a dumb question. Now, your child wasn't being disrespectful. They were being curious. They were thinking. They were trying to understand something, but the experience taught them that asking real questions leads to conflict, that it's safer to stay quiet than to be honest about what they're thinking. You thought you were creating disrespect. You actually just punished curiosity. Wrong distinction. In every one of those examples, the parents had the right intention. The parent was trying to teach something valuable, but the delivery, the body, the face, the tone, the energy aimed the lesson at the wrong target. And the learning process doesn't care about your intention. It only cares about the experience. That learning process is discipline. And discipline worked perfectly in every one of those examples. It just aimed at the wrong target. Your child was disciplined. They learned exactly what the experience taught them. The problem is the experience taught the wrong thing. Now, most parents think they're the only teacher in the room because I'm bigger and older and I know more than you do. That's not how it works. Let me teach you a new term for parenting. It's called a pivot point. A pivot point is the moment a decision has to be made. There's normally two directions. Am I going to do this or am I going to do that? And whatever you choose at that moment teaches something. That's the moment things could go either way. See? Pivot point. Think about what was actually happening in those examples. There were two people at a pivot point, not one. In the first example, the child was at a pivot point about courtesy and honesty. Do I tell the truth about what I broke? The child chose courage. They told the truth. But the parent was at a pivot point too about self-control. Can I get this confession without exploding? The parent failed. In the second example, the child was at a pivot point about effort. Do I try to help even though I might mess up? The child chose effort. They tried. But the parent was at a pivot point about patience. Can I respond to this spill without making my child feel stupid for trying? The parent failed again. In the third example, the child was at a pivot point about curiosity. Do I ask the question that's on my mind? The child chose curiosity because they felt safe enough to ask the question. But the parent was at a pivot point about humility. Can I handle a question I don't have an answer for without shutting it down? The parent failed again. In all three examples, the child did something right, and the parent's reaction punished them for it. The child showed up with courage, with effort, with curiosity. The child passed, parent didn't. That's not a coincidence. That's how this works. Your child's behavior doesn't only reveal what your child is learning, it reveals what you still need to learn too. I mean, think about it. Discipline means to learn or be taught. And teaching is never one-sided. It always goes both ways. This is what I mean by that. Your child is practicing courage and honesty. You're being tested on whether you can receive the truth without losing control. Your child is practicing effort. You're being tested on whether you can respond to a mistake without making your child feel like trying was dangerous. Your child is practicing curiosity. You're being tested on whether you can be challenged without making it about your authority. Both of you are at a pivot point. Both of you are being tested. And whatever each of you does at that pivot point, that's the lesson both of you carry to the next one. So, before you focus entirely on what your child just did, ask yourself in the moment, what does this tell you about you? Good chance your child isn't the only one in the room that needs to learn something. So here's the tool. Before you respond to your child, before you react, before you correct, before you even say a word, ask yourself two questions. First, what is my child about to experience? You know, like, what are they about to see in my body, hear in my tone, read in my face, and feel for my energy? And what is that total experience going to teach them? Because remember, your child doesn't separate what you intended from your delivery. They learn from the delivery, all of it, every piece of it. They're smart little boogers. They're like little information sponges. And if the delivery punishes the wrong thing, that's the lesson they carry. That's how discipline works. It builds whatever the experience reinforces. So if you want discipline to build courage, honesty, and effort in your child, the experience has to support those things, not punish them. Now, the second question is, what is this moment trying to teach me, the parent? Because if I'm about to explode at my child for telling the truth, maybe the lesson in this moment isn't for them. Maybe it's for me. The fact that you can accidentally teach the wrong lesson doesn't make you a bad parent. It makes you a human being who's still learning how to teach. And that's discipline too. Both of you are learning. Both of you are at pivot points. Both of you are being tested by the same moments. But now you have a tool, those questions before you react. What is my child about to experience, and what is this moment trying to teach me? The parent who asks those questions before they respond is the parent who stops accidentally building the opposite of what they intended. My name is Scott Wilkinson. If you like my content, share it, like it, and subscribe to Foundations of Character. And I will see you next time.